Next week we get to see Sean Strickland versus Isreal Adesanya, and I think we like we all know how this is gonna go, bro. But I do actually want to talk about this fight because I think there's some interesting things that could happen, bro, and not just like some normal MMA stuff where it's like, oh, if Sean Russell's Izzy, he might be able to win. Like, no, I do want to actually like, I'm not a super in-depth person when it comes to talking about fights, but I do want to pick out some things that I think could happen and why I think Sean has a miniature chance. I don't think he has a good chance at all, bro, but there is a chance that Sean Strickland can pull off an upset here, man. An upset here, man. So let's talk about it, and let's get into this, man. So let's talk about the opposite styles we have here. First thing first, man. So first with Izzy, you of course have the kickboxing base, right? Not only the kickboxing base, but the counter kickboxing base, right? Izzy's going to pick his shots. He's not going to throw a whole bunch of punches. He's not a Max Holloway. Like, he's not one of those strikers where he's going to throw 100 strikes around. He's going to throw 200 strikes. He's going to throw 300 strikes. I don't think anybody's ever threw 300 strikes, man. But you've seen an Izzy fight, you know how he fights, man. It's calculated. He breaks his opponents down by first using his legs, using his range, and just pissing them off. And then two, by counter punching, man. We saw it in the Cannonier fight where Cannonier would try to rush in. He would get counter punched. I know a lot of people think that fight is boring. Similar thing with both of the Whitaker fights. He's knocked Whitaker down twice by counter punching, man. And that's just his style. He's going to slowly and methodically break his opponents down until he actually can get on top of them. We even saw it in the Pereira fights where he tried to break Pereira down. He did it in the first fight a little bit, particularly with his wrestling, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, bro. And then gets caught. And then in the second fight, tried to do the same thing. And he caught Pereira with his counter punching, man. So Izzy is Izzy. You know how he's going to fight. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Izzy is boring. And my secondary thought to that is always, Izzy's job is not to be exciting. Like, and I get it. People come to watch fights, they should be exciting. As somebody who amateur fighter, bro, I believe fights should be exciting. But as a champion, your number one goal is to still hold on to that belt. Nobody remembers all of the boring defenses that Anderson Silva had. Nobody remembers all of the boring defenses that GSP had, bro. They just remember the win streaks, man. The same thing's gonna happen with Isreal Adesanya. And yeah, and then on the opposite side of that, you have a dude in Sean Strickland who relies heavily on his boxing base. We haven't really actually seen Sean grapple in years, it seems like, man. I feel like all of his opponents, Cannonier, that he's fought, Cannonier, Pereira, which of course everybody thought he was going to wrestle Pereira, and then he didn't wrestle Pereira, bro. In his last couple fights, he just does not wrestle at all, man. So that seems like it's going to be a recipe for an easy win for Izzy, right? Like, not many people in the world can strike with Izzy at that weight class, let alone a dude in Sean Strickland who relies a lot on his boxing. I don't think Sean ever really kicks at all, bro. He doesn't shoot for takedowns. He doesn't do anything other than work on his boxing. Well, not work on it, but use his boxing, which he put it up there. He's a really great boxer, man. Really great inverted Philly shell where he raises his shoulder and raises his hand to block a lot of shots, man. But there's two things that I think are going to be very important in this fight for both men. One, leg kicks. How many leg kicks can Izzy get? We've seen Sean, even in his last fight, his first round, legs get destroyed, right? Like, because he just almost is always turned sideways, man. I wonder, is he going to put some type of emphasis on not fixing, but changing the way that he approaches his fight in terms of his boxing? His style is just, it's a whirlwind for people like Izzy. Izzy probably is going to end up knocking him out if he comes out in that same style he's had before, bro. And then two, which is for every Adesanya fight, the wrestling, right? One, I do not think Sean Strickland is going to try to wrestle Isreal Adesanya. I just don't. If he didn't try to wrestle Alex Pereira, it's not going to happen against Izzy. Now, you can say, well, Sean learned from his mistakes. Sean doesn't seem like the type of dude to learn from his mistakes, bro. He just is not going to try to wrestle Isreal Adesanya. So those are going to be the two most important things in this fight, I believe. One, the leg kicks, particularly how does Sean deal with them, man? Because the leg kicks pretty much start a lot of Izzy's offense. And then two, the wrestling exchanges. And I'm not going to say it's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if Isreal Adesanya actually tries to take Sean Strickland down. Now, does he need to? Of course not. But I wouldn't be surprised if it happens just to try to mix it up. This is kind of I'm not going to say an easy fight for Izzy because there's never no such thing as an easy fight. But this is definitely a fight where you could try some different things because you know you're going to have such a significant striking advantage. Now, you say, well, what the hell does Sean Strickland have to do in order to stand a chance in this fight, bro? Well, for me, there's two things I think Sean needs to do. Pressure. And again, I get it. Izzy's a counter puncher. It's hard countering really good counter punchers and counter strikers like that, bro. So you don't want to put too much pressure on them. But Sean is going to have to live in a middle range with Isreal Adesanya, where he's not at kicking range, but he's also not at the range where he can get countered, bro. And I think Sean's boxing is good enough to be there. Now, do I think Sean's boxing is good enough to beat Izzy? No, but I think his boxing is good enough to make it a fight, particularly with Sean's cardio also, where if he decides that he wants to try to just go for broke and not necessarily just give his head out and just run forward, but if he wants to try to stand in the pocket with Isreal Adesanya, he has good enough instincts and good enough boxing to where he can do that, bro. He just cannot stay at that mid-range where it's like you're either getting kicked or you're getting punched. Like, he can't be there. He can't be in that counter puncher's range when it comes to this fight, man. So that's the biggest thing for me. I think Sean can definitely, if he tries to put the pressure on, he has to be smart with it though. Similar to how Pereira was, and again, he's not Alex Pereira. We see Alex knock him out, but he has to be smart with how he uses his strikes, but he cannot stand at that outside range or that close enough to get counter range. He has to constantly switch it up. And again, Sean Strickland, he's been fighting MMA for so long. And plus he fights at a really good gym. I'm pretty sure he knows how to grapple, bro. And I am going to say this. If he has learned from his mistakes, he will try to grapple. Now, do I think he's going to be shooting open mat takedowns? No, that's idiotic. But I believe he's going to try to clinch grapple at least enough with Izzy, bro, just to give him a thought of it. He cannot let this be a kickboxing fight. We said the same thing for Alex Pereira versus for Sean Strickland, and he let it be a kickboxing fight, and we saw what happened, bro. But he cannot allow this to be a kickboxing fight. He has to miss it up, bro. There we go, man. But those are my keys for him. Again, I think this is going to be a fairly easy win for Adesanya. I just don't think Strickland has enough to beat him. But also, I'll say this. There is always a punching chance in MMA. If there's one thing you can do, you can always catch somebody in MMA, bro. That's the number one thing. Especially with the little bitty gloves, you can always catch somebody, bro, or you can always catch somebody in some stupid shit where they trip or something, and now you on top of their back for a choke, man. So I would never put anything past it. But again, this is kind of a filler, like, title defense for Izzy, bro. Like, the next person up for the belt seems like it's going to either be Dricus du Plessis or the winner of Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa. I mean, not Robert Whittaker, or the winner of Paulo Costa versus Hamza Chimaev, which I cannot wait for, bro. So, yeah, good luck, Sean Strickland. Me, like everybody else, I don't think you gonna win, dog. But I hope the best for you, my guy, man. And yeah, that's pretty much that. Appreciate y'all boys for tuning into this video, man. I'm out.